The latest installment of the Creek video series. This Creek video was shot on Memorial Day weekend. It was shot on Monday. Couple things. This has been 4 months that these chemicals have been laying in this creek with nothing done. It's best to watch this on a television screen, have it streamed on YouTube. As I went into the shady areas on a phone, it's hard to see the chemicals. You can see them clearly on a television set. But you will see horrible chemicals, horrific, all scattered through this video. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful. After 4 months of nothing being done and these chemicals just laying in the creek, seeping into our soil, potentially getting into our wells, I made a second video on that following Thursday, which would have been, let's see, May 29th, 30th, 31st, and June 1st. It would be Thursday, June 1st, 2023. That is still not edited. I am told a few days after my short came out of the first footage, the creek is now completely drained of water. Does it have anything to do with me filming the creek? I don't have any idea. Could it just be coincidence after nothing being done and horrific chemicals still in the banks, in the creek beds? I put that short film out and the creeks are drained a couple of days later. Now, the creeks being drained doesn't fix the problem. It only makes it impossible for me to show you how bad they are. The chemicals are still in the soil, they're still in the creek bed, and they're still in the banks. And only God knows how far they went. It's a long video. Grab some popcorn. And like I said, if you're going to watch it on a television set, the better it will be. And thank you so much for caring, and thank you so much for continuing to watch my videos.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Step here. In the banks, people. In the banks. It's clean here, people. It's clean. It's clean. Look at this shit. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. It's clean, people. Labor Day weekend, people. Look at that shit. Look at that shit just boiling out. Labor Day weekend. It's clean, people. It's clean. It is clean. It's clean down here. It's clean down here in Norfolk, Southern Ohio. Norfolk has bought the town. Look at this shit. Norfolk has bought the town. Norfolk, Southern Ohio. The gift that keeps on giving. Look at this shit. And I just started.
And now, new at 6:30, KDKA committed to getting answers. And now the results are in on our independent lab testing of water near East Palestine, Ohio.
So last hour, we met a Pittsburgh biologist who helped us collect water samples in a stream just a few miles downwind from the derailment site.
KDKA investigator Megan Schiller joining us again to reveal these new results. Megan.
Kim and Ken, the bottom line is this. These results should give people hope. And not only did we just get these new water results, the best part is that we have a point of comparison so that we can see how things changed over 1 month's time. The results are in, and biologist Justin Johnston translates the numbers for us.
There were no SVOCs that we found before, the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs. They're all part of a class of compounds of stuff that's probably carcinogenic, and there was nothing in there.
One question remains. Where did it go?
It could be in the vegetation, it could be in the soils, or it could have washed downstream down to the Mississippi River. It's hard to know at this point where it went.
We met up at Coal Bank Run and collected our water samples about 1 month ago. We sent the results to an ALS Global Lab located in Holland, Michigan.
I have included that news broadcast because it is a point of confusion for many East Palestine residents and people outside our community. Many people saw this report and said, wow, your water is clean. What are you guys complaining about? Or residents have said, well, our water's clean. The Pittsburgh News says it. News segments are so fast, they don't explain what is really going on. I know Justin Johnston. I have spoken with him at length on 3 different occasions during this derailment. The first time Justin came out, his goal was to see how badly contaminated the streams in Ohio downstream were contaminated from the actual spill of the chemicals into the stream, and how badly the streams upstream were contaminated from the chemical bomb plume or the smoke and what dropped out of the sky in Pennsylvania. He's talking here about Coal Bank Run in Pennsylvania, which is upstream of our creek, which would have nothing to do with the badly contaminated chemical problem in our creeks. It doesn't change anything in East Palestine's creeks. The second time around, he found that he could not find the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons in the surface water of the Pennsylvania creeks, which could be a good thing, but he doesn't know where they went. Did they simply wash downstream, or did they get stuck into the vegetation or the creek beds? He doesn't know, and that's for Pennsylvania to find out. But since Pittsburgh News mentioned East Palestine, and they didn't say where Coal Bank Run was, everybody assumed that they were talking about East Palestine creeks. They absolutely were not. On June 1st of 2023, I once again talked with Justin. He confirmed that he did no testing in Sulphur Run. It is simply, in his words, too contaminated. From what I continue to see, I wholeheartedly agree. Which makes me wonder, why doesn't KDKA, the Pittsburgh News Channel, hire Justin to test Sulphur Run? Would it be because we wouldn't have as much hope once we heard the results? This is going on 4 months that nothing is being done, and these chemicals are just leaching further and further into the ground via the creek bed.
This is in the banks, people. It's in the soils. It's eventually going to be in our wells. That is my prediction. And they're not doing a damn thing about it.
The sediment sampling. I think you sent me February 8th, like kind of preliminary results.
Yeah.
Do they have any more sediment sampling for the creek? Like what
I do
what
know,
is in the sediment?
Yeah, I do know that there was a series of sediments collected, I think in March, but I'll let Bill answer that question.
So like I said, the one area that we're really missing that detailed information on right now is sediment. There were 3 different rounds of sediment sampling. One initially, which was not as extensive, and then 2 more. Has there been anything current? No.
You cannot fail a test you do not take. No sediment samples in 3 months.
America's worst chemical spill from a derailment. Probably worst in terms of all the chemicals that were released. And look at this shit. And I see nothing happening. Beautiful, huh? Nothing's changed. What do you think?
Based on favorable surface water sampling data, water treatment operations in Sulphur Run were discontinued on April 5th. The next phase of the plan is to remove the equipment used for the treatment, the big water pumps, air compressors, and diffuser, from the areas along the creek. The equipment was left in place as a precautionary measure to place back into operation if water did not show steady, favorable conditions. Jessica Langdon, U.S. EPA. Keep in mind that this letter states that water treatment efforts were discontinued April 5th. This video was shot on May 29th.
You buy into their lies. Look at this shit. People's homes are right on the other side. People's homes are right here. Look at that shit. It just keeps on coming out.
Notice how as these chemicals hit the shade, they are completely hidden from view. That will become important later in the video.
Look at that shit. Look at that shit.
Alan Shaw keeps saying he's going to make our town better than it ever was. Beautify the park, free rides to the carnival. Well, our town was pretty cool before you spilled your mess here. I like this town. Why don't you just put it back how it was before you ran your trains over contaminated soil, pounding these chemicals into our soil and our creeks? Why don't you just put it back how it was and get the hell out of town? Norfolk Southern is just pounding our town with events, free rides to the carnival, fireworks displays, 5K run sponsoring. Week after week, looking at shiny lures or shiny bling to make us look away from the waterways. Be careful what you wish for, people of East Palestine. After such a traumatic event, you need to simplify. You need to calm your mind and assess. We have been bombarded week after week with events in this town. While many residents are happy with this, many like the town as it was, a sleepy, quiet little town. Be careful what you wish for, East Palestine residents.
Ann Vogel, you want to live here? Like you said you would? How about you, Mark Durno? You want to live here? You want to live in the house right next to this?
Imagine if this cleanup job were a job on a highway,
with the well?
where a contractor had a deadline to finish the job. They would be fined millions of dollars because the job was overdue past the deadline. These chemicals, which are poisoning people, these deadly chemicals have been sitting in these waterways for 4 months, just seeping into the soil. And no one is being fined. No one is cleaning them out of the banks. Nothing is being done. Who would have ever thought that fixing potholes in a highway would get greater precedence over getting deadly chemicals out of people's communities? The residents that are ill or displaced from their homes are often pointed out by other residents, saying, "You are greedy. It's all an act. You think you've hit the lottery." These are the same people that are elated about Norfolk Southern sponsored events, new infrastructure, new park, new football fields, tourism. all while our sick and displaced residents are being mistreated. I ask you,
Look at that shit.
who are the greedy ones?
Looks healthy. Greetings from Norfolk, Southern Ohio. Everything is fine in East Palestine. Look at that shit in the sun. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. Everything is fine, East Palestine. Everything is clean in East Palestine. Look at that shit. Creeks are clean, people. Creeks are clean. Oh, there's a freaking mess here. Look at that shit. I mean, I don't even like to be walking in it with rubber boots. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. It just keeps coming up. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. Norfolk, money well spent on free tickets. Wouldn't want to spend a little more on cleanup though, would you? See this? See the rainbow? Color all in the sediment. This whole thing just shines. It just shines. See that? All through here. It's safe. It's safe. Look at that shit. I mean, it's just more of the same, over and over again. I don't know how you can think this is fine.
The railroad decided to resume train traffic, I'm told within minutes after that evacuation order was lifted. So they were running trains on track laid over soil laden with toxic chemicals. For a month, every time that train horn blew with trains moving through East Palestine, it was a reminder to the local residents that the railroad was continuing its operations and not cleaning up the toxic mess.
I understand how that impacted the community, and I got some good feedback. You know, one of the immediate pieces of feedback I got was frustration about Norfolk Southern leaving the soil underneath the tracks. But it was important to me to do what's right.
You want to drive your trains over this shit? I live here, Ann Vogel. You want to live here, Mark Durno? Yeah, I'm just going to keep stirring up the mold. Look at that shit. Look at all that shit. Look at that shit just coming out of the bank. Can you see it? How's it look? Look at that. Toot toot. Come on, give me a toot toot. Give me a toot toot. Toot toot. You're breaking the rules, dude. Toot toot. Give me a toot toot. Give me a toot toot. There you go. I knew you wouldn't let me down. There you go. There you go. Thank you, Norfolk. Norfolk, Southern Ohio. There you go. There you go. Oh, shit. Looking good in the neighborhood. Looking clean in East Palestine. Look at that shit. Can you see it? Can you see it? Looking good in the neighborhood. Look at all that shit. Look
In this clip, look in the light for the rainbow
Look at
toxic
that
chemicals.
shit coming out of the bank. I mean, really. What lazy ass news reporter is going to walk up into the thicket? Look at all that shit coming out of the bank. Holy shit. Look, they had the creek ranger fooled. I'm just a normal guy. You know, you start, when you're away from it and you don't see it, that's what happens to the people in this town. And they see, KDKA says it's fine. Holy shit, look at the chemicals coming out of there. Holy Hannah. They're lying to you, people. Look at that shit. Look at that shit.
It wasn't until later I realized the shade makes these chemicals disappear.
Look, I'm gonna
look in the light.
Hours here just filming. And this is just gonna go on and on. Sometimes I don't know what the camera captures, what the human eye sees. That's just me sticking a stick into random parts of the bank. I only want to see you bathing in the purple rain, people. Look at that shit. It's everywhere. It's got this whole... It's still coming out. It is still coming out of the bank. This is just some random spot. I bet if I look around, I'm going to see coon tracks. What is this doing to the wildlife? Wow, look at those chemicals coming out. I don't know if you can see that. Look at those chemicals floating down the creek. Can you see it? You're welcome, West Virginia. Enjoy. Coming your way, Negley. Be prepared. You sons of bitches. You know what though? The best way to clean this creek would be free rides to the carnival.
Hundreds of people came out to the East Palestine Street Fair today. Many in the village are just looking for some normalcy as the cleanup from the train derailment continues. And they were able to get it with this annual tradition. First News reporter Jacob Thompson takes us around.
There you go, buddy. For over 100 years, residents of East Palestine and surrounding communities showed up for the village's street fair, showing up for the rides, games, and traditional fair food.
Although I've lived here most of my life, most of the people down here I don't even recognize. You know, they're coming in from Columbiana, New Waterford, Rogers, Negley, East Liverpool.
Well, the East Palestine Street Fair does come around every year. This year is a little bit more significant of returning to normalcy 3.5 months after the East Palestine train derailment.
Take a look at the number of kids. Norfolk and Southern is paying for all the rides, so kids don't have to pay anything. So, you know, it works out real well.
The East Palestine Street Fair wraps up tomorrow night. In East Palestine, Jacob Thompson, WKBN 27 First News.
Oh, shit. Look at that. I don't know if you can see it. It is just coming out of that bank. You can see it meandering its way down the creek, hopefully. Free activities in the park. We'll clean this mess up. Hey, bird. Look at that. Under every single rock I turn over. It's just as bad as ever. It's just as bad as ever. You lying pieces of shit. You lying pieces of shit. Holy hell. Wow. Oh boy. Okay, let me go through here.
When I got home this particular night and viewed the camera, I noticed that as the chemicals go into the shadows, they completely disappear.
Okay.
In some of these shots, look into the light reflecting off the surface, and you will see the purple chemicals.
Let's see what the coons are eating. What you eating, coons? Huh? What did you have for dinner last night? Oh, that's what you had for dinner. You had butyl acrylate crawfish. Look at that shit. Can you see that? Look at that shit. Look at that shit.
I filmed for an hour and a half before realizing the shade hides these chemicals from the camera.
Holy shit. I hope you can see that. Wow, is that flying out. Everything is fine in East Palestine. I couldn't have picked a hotter day to do this.
In shots like these, look at the lighted area on the surface of the water to see the purple and rainbow colors.
Can you see all those chemicals coming out of the bank? I hope you can.
Further into this episode, you will see the chemicals more clearly. I wanted to leave my commentary in some of these spots, so I did not cut it.
Everything's fine. East Palestine. Everything is clean in East Palestine.
At this point, the chemicals are covering the surface of the creek.
Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you, Negley. Thank me later. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. Look at that shit just coming out. Look at that. Like I said, I hope you can see that. So, what kind of genetic dysfunctions is this going to cause in our animals? Hey, it's awesome! There's wildlife coming back into the creek! We see minnows! Well, you're going to be seeing them with 3 eyes pretty soon and 2 heads. And, if you didn't believe in evolution, what about the fish with legs you're going to be seeing pretty soon? Look at this shit coming out. I mean, I could do this all day. Funny, Norfolk Southern and the EPA aren't doing this all day. They want the evidence to go away. They want it to sink, people. Away from prying eyes. Check it out. We got a little water snake. Sorry for disturbing you. And why aren't you moving? I've never seen a water snake not move. Dude, you got butyl acrylate paralysis? What the hell is wrong with you? I can't believe... Are you okay? What are you doing? Huh? Were you sleeping? I mean, what are you doing? They don't make good pets. I think somebody needs to test you. There he goes. Not aggressive when you come across them. You know, they usually just flee. But they don't, sure as hell don't make good pets. Look at that. Look at those chemicals coming out.
Although visible to the human eye, the camera has trouble picking up the chemicals in the shade. Look in the bright spots to see the rainbows.
Now that the water has receded, and those chemicals are up in the bank, look at that shit. Look at those chemicals just coming out. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Sound like Bassmaster. Would you look at that? But this shit's not funny. But Bassmaster's pretty funny. Usually. Look at those chemicals coming out. Oh my, how you like that shit? How you like that shit? Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my god. It's clean in East Palestine. It is fine in good old Palestine. And that's criminal. That's just criminal. And it's so bad that I'm so used to it. It's just so bad. It's bad that it's normal now. It's bad that turning over rocks.
The shade is hiding these chemicals. Look in the upper right-hand corner of where the sun is, and you can see them floating down.
You're welcome, Negley. Should get to you in about a day. I'll probably sink in the sediment first. You're welcome, mother. Look at that shit. Just look at that shit. Look at that shit. Just look at that shit. Better living through chemistry. Oh, poor crayfish. Look at that. Look, now what's up with that crayfish? What's gonna happen to this crayfish? See? Oh, we see crayfish. We see minnows. You want these animals living in this shit? Oh man, you idiots. You idiots. Somebody should take that crayfish and analyze them. Look at that crayfish. Living with this shit. See that shit? Better living through chemistry? Crayfish. Right there. Get your butyl acrylate for the day. Get your deadly chemicals for the day. Wow, look at that shit. Every rock I turn over. It's clean here, people. Let's have a fair. Anybody do this shit? Okay, I gotta come down here.
Look in the bright sunspot to see the toxic rainbows.
Oh my lord. Look at this. Oh my lord. Can you see that? I hope that shows up on camera. Oh my lord. Holy shit, it doesn't stop. Sorry, Negley. You can fool some of the people. Some of the time. Wait, you can fool people. Oh, you can fool all of the people some of the time. Wait, you can fool some of the people all the time. You can fool all of the... You can fool all the people some of the time. You can fool some of the people all of the time.
Look in the lighted areas, and when I go to pick up this next rock, look near my hand. All the chemicals are covering the creek.
Can you see it just coming down? Look at that shit. Well, that one was big. This one's probably going to be bigger. Oh, that's a heavy one. Oh, I'll get it. I'll get you. Oh. Oh my. Look at that shit. I mean, it's just up under every rock. Look at that. Am I missing the drama up here? Look at that. It's clean in East Palestine. It's fine in East Palestine.
These chemicals have been laying in our creek beds and banks with hydrostatic pressure, pushing them further into the earth. What is being done? Nothing.
I hope this translates the video. Dude. Oh, it went under your house. I'll put it back. I'll put it back. I want to see what's under your house. Wow. Look at all this. And that crayfish is living under there. Can you see it? Look at those chemicals. See them going down the creek? Look at all those chemicals. Holy crap. That crayfish was living under that rock. And those chemicals just keep coming down. Can you see that? I hope you can see it on camera. When I'm looking at the camera, it's hard to see. And these chemicals all coming from the... Wow. Wow. That crayfish is living under there. Let's see this guy. Let's give it a go. See you, dude. Anything there? Give it a minute. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my. Yep. Can you see the chemicals from underneath? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That is a lot of chemicals under these rocks. Look at this. Look at this. And that's not a big rock. Where are you coming from? You're coming from somewhere. That's a big ass ledge of rock. I'd like to move you, but that'll be my younger days. What up, Norfolk? Look at those chemicals. What up, Norfolk? Look at those chemicals coming out from under these rocks. Look at that. Toot toot. Everything is fine in East Palestine. Can you see it? Let's see if I can get away from the sun. Look at all those chemicals floating on the top.
This rock was some of the worst I had seen.
See those
I was
chemicals?
mistakenly thinking that I had to film in the shade instead of the sun. But look in the sun and you can see the toxic rainbows.
Look at these chemicals just coming out. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. 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 I'm hoping you can see that. We got another lava lamp display here. Wow. 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 We're just going to let this one play out. Here's the real 4th of July. Wow. Look at those chemicals. Look at those deadly chemicals just pouring out. Look at that, just headed down the creek. So what do you have to say, EPA? Huh? What you gotta say? It's a good day.
The entire surface of the creek is covered in beautiful toxic chemicals.
It's a good day.
Keep watching in the bright sunspots.
Another good day in Norfolk, Southern Ohio. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. Alright. Triumphant return for the Creek Ranger. And here I thought the EPA might not be lying again. Everything looks clean in East Palestine. Do not fall in this water. Look at all those chemicals. Thank you, Nigley. We'll talk to you later. Let's just enjoy the show. Let's enjoy the lava lamp 70s acid trip show. Oh, what is that swimming in there? That can't be good. That looks like a leech. Yeah, it's a leech. Well, what are you going to suffer from these chemicals? I hope you can see. Look at that, they're still coming up. So, what impact is this going to have on the wildlife? What is it doing to their DNA? It just keeps coming up. Look at this. I'm going to break my stick. My faithful stick. Oh, dude, that can't be healthy. You're living in that shit? You're actually living in that shit. Well, just please don't let any raccoons eat you. You're actually going back in that chemical muck, Mr. Crayfish. Huh? Look at that. This is what he's living in. This is what he is living in, people. That's what he's been living in. And that's what the raccoons are eating. This is what tickets to the fair get you. We're doomed, people. Every time I say, but I don't want to leave. I've been here 30 years. I don't want to spend my retirement on moving. Look at that beautiful, deadly whirlpool of noxious chemicals. And you've got crayfish and leeches and wildlife living in there and being eaten by other wildlife. Isn't that special? And I thought I'd see improvement. I actually thought I'd see improvement. Wrong. I gotta tell you guys, it has encompassed the whole surface of the creek. I mean, it's everywhere. It has encompassed the whole surface of this creek. I hope it translates to video. Oh, you doubters out there. Oh, people are faking it. Toughen up. It's no big deal. You're making a big thing out of nothing. Where are the environmentalists? Where are the people picketing? Come on, I know there's people in our town that are environmentalists. Where are you? I know there's people across the country that are environmentalists. Where are you? Where are you, Joe Biden? Where are you, Governor DeWine? Mr. Shut down and sit down and shut up.
President Biden snubbing a visit to East Palestine, Ohio, even as the community there is still suffering after that massive toxic train derailment. But residents have no fear. Biden says he's going to zoom in.
Are you planning to travel to East Palestine, Ohio?
At this moment, not. I did a whole video. What the hell? On Zoom. All I can, every time I think of Zoom, that song of my generation, who's zooming who?
With the president being in Ukraine today, did that surprise you?
Absolutely. That was the biggest slap in the face. That tells you right now he doesn't care about us. So
agreed.
He can send every agency he wants to, but I found that out this morning in one of the briefings that he was in the Ukraine giving millions of dollars away to people over there, not to us, and I'm furious.
On President's Day in our country.
Yeah, President's Day in our country. He's over in Ukraine.
Rick, it's not as though the President of the United States is stuck in Washington, D.C. He did just visit Mississippi where there were those tragic tornadoes. So it's notable that he hasn't, in 2 months' time, chosen to visit your community.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say if you want to know what's going on here, East Palestine, Off the Rails Facebook group. I honestly feel he's the one that should be handcuffed. He's done nothing here. What would it take for him to visit Ohio?
And how do you reconcile that, Rick? I mean, I can hear I can hear your emotion in that statement. How do you make sense of the fact that the president hasn't visited East Palestine?
You really can't make sense of it. We still have chemicals in the creek as they are digging up the crash site, which they drove their trains over for 2 months. They're putting more chemicals in the air and more chemicals in the creek, and he hasn't been here.
Question. So, as somebody who grew up really close to here, and I've lived here 30 years now, and who voted for you twice, this is a very positive direction to go, but it's also unfortunately very frightening that we even need this. So what are we still doing about the main cause of people getting sick, which is our creeks? As of Good Friday and Easter, heavily contaminated. And anybody that wants to see that, I can show them. I think the EPA says now that the water is clean or safe and they've taken the aerators away. Any comments on that?
While the cleanup continues, I'm going to ask Director Ann Vogel to come up here. Well,
Typical EPA.
that's not fair.
Well-
That's not fair at all. The Ohio EPA was here within 2 or 3 hours after this.
Governor, respectfully, why
I'm not
why didn't they stop them from putting the tracks down over contaminated soil if they were here 2 hours after?
Are you gonna let me answer?
Yes.
I'll take the first question.
What are you doing about the main cause of contamination? That's not fair. What are you doing about this? 4 months out. You're all pieces of shit. Declare this a national emergency and let the people that want to leave get out. You got homes 50 feet from here. You got kids that are gonna play in this creek. Look at this shit. It just doesn't stop. This is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Number one, because evil Norfolk Southern pounded this into our soil. Not for a month. Remember when they were told to pull the tracks up a month out? They were still running trains over the other tracks. I mean, I'm gonna move on, and we're just gonna find more of this shit. I mean, I don't know what the point is, because it's gonna go on and on. Look at these minnows. Were those minnows I just saw? Ah, what a surprise, more chemicals. Holy shit, what is this? I haven't even been up here. This is just coming out of the bank on its own. Can you guys see that? Look at that shit. And that's very strange looking. I see almost like crystalline stuff. This is just coming out of the bank on its own. See that? Let's see what we got here. What is this stuff coming out of the bank? Wow. 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 It's clean in East Palestine. Well, just more of the same. Listen to my voice. I don't even get upset anymore.
Look around the edges of the sunlight in the shade, how the camera makes the chemicals disappear in the shade.
Everything is fine in East Palestine. Everything is clean in East Palestine.
This is how the entire creek looked the entire way up.
I still wouldn't even trust it, because I know it's sunk into the soil. I know it's sunk into the banks. This is just as bad as ever. Nothing's changed. It's 4 months out. They're all liars. These will kill you, people. These will kill you. Not today, not tomorrow, but just when you get to that point in life, when you're about to relax, you've worked hard your entire life, and you're about to settle down, and you're about to retire, and live your dream, whatever that dream may be. This will kill you. It's gonna screw up your life plans. And that's why, as much as I want to stay, we've been here 30 years. I grew up in South Beaver, right outside of Negley. This is just reaffirming that I have to leave. My wife and I have to get out of here.
Benzene is another one of those industrial chemicals that has come into widespread use since World War II. Welders and workers in the petrochemical, rubber, and pharmaceutical industries are regularly exposed to it. It's a highly flammable liquid, and for years the danger of benzene explosions has been known. But only recently has it been disclosed that benzene causes cancer.
Recently, there's been a lot of information coming out through OSHA and a lot of information in the chemical magazines about benzene and its possible cause of leukemia. OSHA's put up an emergency standard on benzene and specifically connected benzene and leukemia.
That emergency standard didn't exist in 1965 when George was working in an industrial laboratory in Iowa City, where his job required him to use benzene to analyze soil samples. It was about that time that he met his wife, Mary.
We met when we were both in high school. I was a junior and he was a senior in high school. Then while we were going together, he was working in the lab. I remember him doing these tests, so I was familiar with the kinds of work that he did.
You could smell the benzene all through the lab. It was even to the point where it could be smelled in the offices, in our offices on the next floor above.
It was impossible for anyone to use that piece of equipment with benzene and not be exposed. It was just so designed that there was going to be exposure. It also, I think, was intrinsically unsafe in terms of the open element at the bottom, which allowed benzene vapors to come around underneath it and ignite.
I ended up being engulfed in a pillar of benzene flame from the floor to the ceiling. At that point, I ran and grabbed a throw rug, which was on the floor of the lab, and wrapped myself up in the rug and was able to put out the flame. And I thought I was lucky because I got out of the accident with just singed hairs on my arms and singed eyebrows. I feel now that at the moment I felt lucky, but I now feel there's longer-term effects that I wasn't aware of that has caused my current situation, having leukemia.
It has been known, has been reported in the literature before that time, all the way back to 1928, that benzene was associated with leukemia, and that I think the manufacturers of benzene knew it at the time, but was not generally known by the public or people such as George and myself.
I feel strongly I don't want what's happened to me to happen to someone else. I think being aware of the hazards and being protected from them as best possible is something that should be taken care of so that you don't cut off a man's life at 33.
Unbelievable. I can imagine when it's oozing out on its own, probably not the best of signs. You know? Probably not the best. Well, that was hard finding that, EPA. EPA. I can't find anything. It looks clean. Norfolk Southern. Progress made in our newsletter. Sulphur Run is clean. We're done with cleanup there. Now on to Leslie Run. Bastards. Bunch of liars. Bunch of evil liars. I mean, look at this. I don't even film the whole thing anymore. I used to sit here for 5 minutes and let it film. I guess I should. I'm probably going delirious. I may have mentioned that I probably couldn't have picked a hotter day. Oh boy, move a rock, see what happens. Wow. Never thought of that before. I just wanted to get it out of the picture. What we should have is like they used to have in Darlington. Norfolk Southern should have a rubber duck thing. You know, where they send the rubber ducks down the creeks. And the kids would probably not even have to identify them. Like they would have numbers on them and you win a certain prize. Well, these ducks would be half melted. You would identify them by how melted they were. Yeah, we could do that. So the kid with the worst melted rubber duck wins the grand prize. The rubber duck that's most disintegrated wins.
Notice how when the chemicals hit the shade, they are completely hidden from view.
I'm dehydrated there. Check this out. Wonder if anybody's gonna bitch, but I think this is, you know, waterways are hard. I'm actually in somebody's backyard and didn't even realize it. It says private property, keep out, but I'm in the water. I'm in the creek. Look at that. And here's this, right in their backyard. I hope they don't have kids that are playing back here.
It's only when I realized that the chemicals disappear completely from view on camera when they hit the shade that I had to film an extra 2 hours to make sure they were in view.
Oh boy, look at all that. Look at all that, just came out from under that rock. Oh my. Look at all that. Give me a toot, Norfolk. Give me a toot. Let's see this guy. Look at that shit. Look at all that shit. Nice. Nice, EPA. What do you think of that? Look at that shit. Look. Homes right there. Look at that shit. Everything is fine. Give me a toot. Give me a toot toot. Everything is fine in Norfolk, Southern Ohio. Give me a toot toot. Give me a toot. Give me a toot toot. Oh, it's everywhere, dudes. This is insane. It's just everywhere. I don't know who lives right there, but I wouldn't want to live there. Look, every rock. I mean, it's getting old. Every rock I turn over. It's coming up there, from that rock hitting there and coming around. Look at that. Look at all those chemicals. It is every single rock that I turn over. Oh, look at those chemicals. Look at that. Every rock. Look at those chemicals. chemicals just coming out.
Notice that the areas of sun on the creek downstream are now a hazy white chemical. As you look upstream, you see the difference in the creek.
Wow. Look at that. Can you see that? All those chemicals just meandering down. Let me get out of the sun. Look at that. Just from me turning over some rocks. You see those chemicals? Look at that. Thank you, Niggly. You're welcome, West Virginia. Look at that shit. It's all on the banks. Look at that shit. Takes a minute to come up. It takes a minute. Here it comes, people. It's going to work its way out of that dirt. This is what's making people sick. Hey, your kids shouldn't be playing in the creek anyway. What do you think it is, summer? Yeah, these Norfolk Southern people probably have homes on lakes, by creeks, clean water. It's past that point. There is no fixing this. Well, and they're not even trying, really. They're doing the least of what they have to do. Look at the minnows in this shit. Holy Hannah! That's from me turning over that rock earlier. Wow. Well, isn't that pretty? Isn't that special? Everything is fine in East Palestine. Everything is clean in East Palestine. Let your kids play in the creeks all day. On a hot day, play outside. And for free, you can go for a ride. And breathe in vinyl chloride.
Rick.
Hi. Can you tell us a little bit about the burn pit? You said you did pull up some dirt, and is this just a rumor, or was it covered, or was it? Tell us about the burn pit.
So, was it covered? I don't know the answer to that. I don't have an answer for you on the actual pit itself. I'd have to check with our guys who were doing that. So I don't know the answer to that.
And what was the criteria for why would you repair the tracks and leave the burn pit sit?
So again,
what was the criteria?
Well,
for the order?
We knew there was a contamination problem along the entire length of the track. Right? I mean, so there was going to be a remediation regardless of what happened next.
So you said you dug up some of the burn pit?
So we are in that the excavation that's happening right now. Yes.
And you said there were contaminants found?
There's contaminants found along the entire stretch. On the west side, we had a number of non-hazardous cars, plus the butyl acrylate car release, right? Those releases happened there. As we got further east, you got closer to the vinyl chloride problem, right? And as we've been digging down into that area, we are seeing some elevated contamination. So if the vinyl chloride.
Vinyl chloride. Mm-hmm. Someone talked about a depression or a swale next to the nothing?
There's a ditch.
Okay.
Yeah, the ditch is being dug out as well.
Was there a concern with that the vinyl chloride may have?
We're seeing it in the rivers downstream, so of course it got in the ditch. So it got in the ditch, got in the sulfur run, got in the lesser run. So yes, the answer is yes.
And State Line Lake right there, is it anything?
Yeah, so State Line, I know there was some surface water sampling done there, and again, I don't have the information for you right now, so I'd have to
no sediment sample of State Line Lake?
I'd have to check.
And what are the chances of it having gotten under the industrial buildings there?
That's the next stage. So good question. Very good question. But yes, obviously we want to, part of the plans that are being not distributed, developed and reviewed is a full assessment of those areas.
Those buildings are near where the vinyl chloride's built.
Again, there are buildings near the spill areas. Yes, I'm trying to understand that we are going to. We are going to
understand my question.
We are going to establish a full characterization assessment of those areas.
All right, last question. Let's say you determine there is vinyl chloride under the buildings. What's the solution?
Depends on the nature of contamination. For example, some buildings there are air stripping techniques can take place. We've done removal actions in the past where the buildings have actually come down. It just depends on the nature of the contamination and decisions that are made based on all the parties that are involved.
Oh, I lied. One more question. How do you determine how do you determine what volume of vinyl chloride may have gone under the buildings? How's that done?
Well, again, it's all based on environmental sampling. That's the first step. So once we see the concentrations in soil, then we can make some reasonable estimates of what might be present. So again, those assessments will answer a lot of these questions. So, I know Lindsay has questions.
100 days out, and the EPA didn't know whether the burn pit was covered up. They didn't know whether State Line Lake, the lake right next to the crash site, had ever had a sediment sample taken. And a full 100 days out, they had not started their assessment sampling to determine if, and if so, how much vinyl chloride got under our buildings.
Virtually anything I turn over here is going to have stuff come up. Look at that. Look at that. I think even the people that come into town, look at that. The researchers don't want to get in this shit. I mean, I've probably seen enough, huh? I could just go up this creek and just do this the entire time. Have I fulfilled my mission for today? Huh? Look at that shit. Oh, I just turned that over. It's coming around here. Look at that. Yes. What more do you want from Norfolk Southern? Buy out the homes of the people that want to leave and let us get the hell out of here. You should be in jail for criminal negligence for driving your trains over that contaminated soil for 2 months, like you needed feedback to tell you that was wrong. With these, I wonder if anybody's ever turned this around. Apparently not. Holy Hannah. You spoiled brats. Norfolk Southern is awesome. I'm trying to rip them off of their money. Get back to your homes and shut up. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. I mean, it's bad that I just know that every rock I turn over or every poke in the bank is just going to be contaminated with all this shit. We're really having fun here, aren't we? Look at that. Look at that. Is there a rock that you don't turn over that nothing comes out from under it? That's heavy. That's heavy, dude. Let me see. I'd like that in my yard if it didn't have all the chemicals in it. Oh.
There is a massive amount of rainbow chemicals coming out from under this rock. If you look in the sunlight in the creek, you can see it's purple. The only reason I left this clip in is because what you are about to see. I know you can't see the chemicals very well, but watch what happens.
Look at that. Can you see all that? I guess we'll see when I... Look at those chemicals. Aw, sorry, dude. But look, on the bright side, you're gonna kill a raccoon. You're gonna get some karma. The raccoon that eats you is gonna die. So, you know, such is life. See all the chemicals? Can you see them? Look at that shit coming out. But I'm exhausted. And look at those chemicals. Can you see that? That's just from me turning over some rocks. See it in the sun? Look, the whole creek is just, the whole surface is lined with chemicals now. Hey, it's your fault. You're poisoning us. Stay out of the creeks.
As I head down the creek, keep your eyes on the lighted areas where the sun is poking through. You will see white layers of chemicals on the surface of the water, and you will see rainbow colors.
Can I move ya?
Look at the upper left-hand corner here.
I doubt it. Doesn't matter if I can move you with my foot. I can just nudge you and all that shit will come up. Look at that shit.
The entire surface of the creek is covered in chemicals,
People see it?
unseen on camera in the shaded areas.
Hey, what's on my phone? Blue shit's on my phone. I'm guessing it's probably chemicals. Look at this just from me walking in the creek. Can you see that shit? Oh, sorry for saying. Poke around. There we go. Oh yeah. We're never getting rid of this shit. Look at that. Yes, would you look at that? Disgusting.
With every step I take and every poke of the stick, rainbow deadly chemicals boil to the surface.
With that $300,000 to beautify the park, how much of that could have been put towards this? For buying people out of their homes to get away from this stuff?
Keep your eyes on the lighted areas.
Look at all that. I hope you can see that on the camera. That's all chemicals. That's all. I mean, everywhere I look. Wow. Sorry, people, but this whole creek is now covered in chemicals. Look at that. So I guess the question is it okay if it's in the sediment? Look at, can you see all that dirty white sheen on the surface? That's all chemicals.
When I wiggle this rock,
and look at those
chemicals just boil out from underneath. You can see them in the sunlight.
It's a sunshine day. Everybody's happy, sunshine day. Well, that's what we live with now. Look at that, it just doesn't stop. These chemicals just keep on floating down the creek. It's worse than ever. It is worse than ever, EPA. It's worse than ever, people of Norfolk, southern Ohio. In case you're wondering, we're no longer East Palestine, Ohio. Norfolk Southern has bought half the town. I'm sure a large portion of the town hates me. I don't really care. You know, I've dedicated my life to helping people get well. And if you want to ignore these deadly chemicals, that's okay. I'm gonna keep showing them. When they tell us it's safe.
Meet Connie. She lives 1 mile from the chemical bomb. But what's worse, The creek is literally, not figuratively, in her backyard. She has been breathing these toxic chemicals for over 3 months.
Hi, my name's Connie Rager. I live 1.1 mile from the derailment. I've never been able to get any help because I live outside the 1 mile mark. They will not test my home. They will not give me any help whatsoever. Every time I've asked for anything, I've gotten nothing. I've gotten more from my local church than anything. They're the ones that got me the house air cleaner and the water system. No one else is helping me. I've tested positive for vinyl chloride. My levels are very high. I'm at 1.3.
Oh my God.
I already had cervical cancer and was a year clean. I went in November, everything perfect, no problems. Unfortunately, when I went back in March, now I have vulvar cancer also. And I had to have another surgery. And my body is, I'm getting things all over me. The doctor said it's probably skin cancer. And sorry.
That's all right. You know,
I'm 60 years old. So unfortunately, I'm realistic. I will never live to see any kind of settlement. Nothing. I can't afford to move. It's all I can do to afford to live every day, let alone move. And so I have to stay. And my daughter, my grandchildren, thank God they got out of town because they're having the same issues. But I have rashes all over my body. I have headaches all the time. I can't breathe very well. I've had a lot of trouble, and I pretty much know that it's going to get worse. I went to my doctor right away. I went to my doctor in February and in March. And when I went back in March, I was told, don't come back because we can't help you. We've been told we cannot help you. If you are from East Palestine, sorry, we can't help you. And if it wasn't for Dr. Chai, I still wouldn't have been tested because no one would let me have any kind of paperwork to go get tested. At least now I know that I'm probably going to die and there's nothing I can do about it. But I at least want things to change for my grandchildren and the rest of the community because they have to live here forever too. And not everybody can leave. I know some people can, but not everyone can leave. I'm sorry.
This is disgusting. This whole creek, the whole top of it, is covered in a film of chemicals. Did I move you before? Probably. I don't know. It looks like a rock that I would move. Oh boy, look at that. Just look at that. Alright, I'm headed home. I could do this tomorrow. Enjoy the chemicals as I walk. You see the whole film on top of the surface?
As I walk down the creek, the entire surface is covered with a white chemical haze.
It's just, the whole surface of the creek is now chemicals. Can you see it? Can you see them? The whole surface of the creek is now just all chemicals. Look at all this shit. The gift, it just keeps on giving. Oh, that's from my foot. Oh, wow. What the hell is this? This is so muddy. Alright, I'm getting out of here. No more need. Let's get out of here.
I'm Sean Collins. Here's what you need to know about a dangerous chemical known as vinyl chloride. Vinyl chloride winds up in the groundwater, and that's where the problem starts for human beings. Because if that groundwater is the source of a family's water supply, for example, if the family has a private well, which is basically just drawing water out of the groundwater right underneath the family home, then if there's vinyl chloride in that groundwater, that's what's coming out of the family's kitchen tap, for example, or the shower head in the bathroom. And if that groundwater has vinyl chloride in it, that's what the human beings are being exposed to. They're drinking it or it's touching their skin. But there's another way too, where vinyl chloride in groundwater can be a problem. Vinyl chloride has a property known as volatilization. It volatilizes. It turns into a vapor. And when it does turn into a vapor, it starts to seep back up through the soil and toward the basements of homes and businesses. Vinyl chloride in air or in vapor form can seep into the breathing air of homes and businesses without people even knowing it, and through the tiniest of cracks. It's colorless and odorless, so people can be breathing it, or for that matter drinking it, or it can be touching their skin and they don't know it. So it's sneaky in that regard. And very dangerous too. Let's talk about the pertinent health information. First of all, you need to know that there is absolutely no safe level of vinyl chloride in your air or in your drinking water. No safe level. Also, every serious science organization that I know about that studied its health effects has concluded that vinyl chloride is a carcinogen in human beings. It causes cancer. Principally, these medical studies identify liver cancer, brain cancer, lung cancer, and blood cancers like lymphoma and leukemia as those most principally associated with exposure to vinyl chloride. So obviously we're talking here about a chemical that is very, very dangerous. It disrupts our immune system, and particularly so for children, especially for young children. Vinyl chloride exposure is really, really dangerous. So the bottom line of all of this is that if you even suspect that vinyl chloride may be in your home or in your neighborhood, in your water, in your air, you need to do everything you can to separate your family from this dangerous chemical.
Doesn't matter where I poke my stick. Free rides to the park, people. Free rides in the carnival. Wow, it is just insane. The whole creek is filled. I keep shining my light on it. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my lord. I'm missing the show. I am missing the show. People, bring your kids here, because there's free rides. Right in the middle of the phone. This is the right road. This is where all those minnows were. Have fun, minnows. Hey, look. Star Trek. Beam us up, Scotty.